3 days before my sister's wedding, she uninvited me. She sent me a text message saying I was no longer welcome at the ceremony or reception, that I'd been causing too much drama, and that she needed her special day to be perfect without my negative energy. I was devastated. We'd been planning this wedding together for over a year. I was her maid of honor. I'd thrown her bridal shower, organized her bachelorette party, helped her pick out her dress. And now, 3 days before the wedding, I was being kicked out. But here's the thing. The real reason she uninvited me had nothing to do with drama or negative energy. It had to do with the fact that I'd discovered something about her that she didn't want her fiancé to know. So I did what any reasonable person would do. I sent her fiancé a detailed message with screenshots, receipts, and evidence of exactly what my sister had been hiding from him for months. He called off the wedding 2 days before it was supposed to happen. So let me tell you the whole story. How my sister turned into an absolute bridezilla. How I discovered her secret. How she tried to silence me by kicking me out of the wedding. And how I made sure her fiancé knew the truth before he made the biggest mistake of his life. Because this isn't just about a canceled wedding. This is about standing up for what's right, even when it costs you your relationship with your own family. Let me give you some background on my relationship with my sister because it matters. I'm 31 years old. My sister, let's call her Ashley, is 28. We grew up pretty close. Not best friends close, but normal sister close. We fought sometimes. We got along sometimes. Pretty typical. Ashley has always been the golden child in our family. She's the younger one. She's outgoing and charming. She knows how to work a room. Our parents absolutely adore her. She can do no wrong in their eyes. I'm the older, more responsible one. The one who got good grades, went to a good college, got a stable job. I'm proud of what I've accomplished, but I've never gotten the same level of attention from our parents that Ashley gets. I've made peace with that. I'm not bitter about it. It's just how our family dynamic works. 2 years ago, Ashley met a guy named Marcus at a friend's party. Marcus is 33, works in finance, comes from a good family. He's honestly a really nice guy. A little boring maybe, very straight-laced and traditional, but he treats Ashley well, and he clearly loves her. They got engaged after dating for about 1.5 years. Big romantic proposal, gorgeous ring, the whole thing. Ashley was over the moon. So was our entire family. Ashley asked me to be her maid of honor. I was genuinely honored. Despite our differences, she's my sister, and I wanted to be there for her on her big day. The wedding planning started immediately. Ashley wanted a big wedding. 200 guests, fancy venue, live band, open bar, the works. The budget was around $70,000. Marcus's parents were paying for most of it, with our parents chipping in some, and Marcus covering the rest. I dove into maid of honor duties. I helped her research venues. I went to dress fittings. I organized her bridal shower, which I paid for mostly out of my own pocket. It cost me about $3,000, but I didn't mind. She's my sister. I planned her bachelorette party. We went to Miami for a long weekend. I coordinated everything, paid for the Airbnb, organized activities. Another $2,000 from me. I was doing everything a maid of honor is supposed to do. And for the most part, Ashley seemed grateful. But as the wedding got closer, Ashley started changing. About 4 months before the wedding, Ashley became a completely different person. She was obsessed with every tiny detail being perfect. She'd call me multiple times a day with wedding emergencies that weren't actually emergencies. The napkins were the wrong shade of ivory. One of the bridesmaids gained weight and might not fit in her dress. The florist suggested peonies instead of roses, and how dare they? She started making crazy demands. She wanted all the bridesmaids to dye their hair the same shade of blonde so we'd look uniform in photos. When I said that was unreasonable, she got mad at me for not being supportive. She created a list of rules for the bridesmaids. We couldn't post on social media for the week before the wedding because she wanted to control the narrative. We couldn't wear any jewelry except what she approved. We had to lose weight if we were over a certain size, because she didn't want fat bridesmaids in her photos. I'm not exaggerating. She actually said that. I tried to talk to her about how out of control she was getting. I said, "Ashley, you're stressing everyone out. This is supposed to be fun. You're turning into a bridezilla." She exploded at me. She said I was jealous because I was still single, and she was getting married. She said I was trying to ruin her day because I couldn't stand to see her happy. She said if I couldn't be supportive, maybe I shouldn't be in the wedding at all. I backed off. I didn't want to fight with her, but things kept getting worse. She started fights with our other bridesmaids over tiny things. 2 of them actually dropped out of the wedding because they couldn't deal with her anymore. She had meltdowns over the seating chart. She screamed at the wedding planner. She made our mom cry multiple times over decoration choices. Marcus started looking stressed whenever I saw him. I asked him once if he was okay, and he said, "Yeah, I'm fine. Wedding planning is just a lot." But he didn't look fine. He looked exhausted. I started to worry that Ashley was showing Marcus a side of herself that he'd never seen before. But I figured once the wedding was over, she'd go back to normal. And then I discovered what she'd been hiding. 6 weeks before the wedding, I went over to Ashley's apartment to help her with wedding invitations. She was living with Marcus at this point. They'd moved in together about 6 months earlier. I got there and Ashley wasn't home yet. Marcus let me in and said she'd be back in about 20 minutes. She was just running an errand. He offered me a drink and we chatted for a bit. Then his phone rang. He looked at it and said, "Sorry, I need to take this. It's work." He went into the bedroom to take the call. I was sitting on the couch and Ashley's laptop was open on the coffee table. The screen was still on. I wasn't trying to snoop. I was just sitting there, and I could see the screen. There was a text message conversation open. Not on a phone, but an iMessage on her laptop. The conversation was with someone named Jay. The preview of the most recent message said, "I miss you. When can I see you again?" My stomach dropped. I know I shouldn't have looked. I know it was wrong. But something told me I needed to see this. I clicked on the conversation. The messages went back months. They were flirty, sexual, clearly romantic. They were messages from 2 weeks ago. 1 week ago. 3 days ago. Ashley was cheating on Marcus. I felt sick. I sat there staring at the screen, my hands shaking, trying to process what I was seeing. There were messages where Jay was asking when Ashley was going to tell Marcus about them. Messages where Ashley said she couldn't tell him yet. The wedding was already planned, and she couldn't cancel it. Messages where she said she'd figure it out after the wedding. She was planning to marry Marcus while actively cheating on him and planning to continue the affair after they were married. I quickly took out my phone and started taking photos of the screen. I photographed as many messages as I could, making sure the dates were visible. I heard Marcus ending his phone call in the bedroom. I closed the laptop and sat back like nothing had happened. Marcus came back out. We made small talk for a few more minutes, and then Ashley got home. I spent the rest of the evening helping with invitations, acting completely normal while my mind was racing. What was I supposed to do with this information? I didn't sleep that night. I kept looking at the photos I'd taken of Ashley's messages. I was sure I needed to tell Marcus. He deserved to know before he married her. But Ashley was my sister. Telling Marcus would blow up her life. It would devastate our parents. It would destroy our family. I decided I needed to talk to Ashley first. Give her a chance to come clean on her own. The next day I called her and asked if we could meet for coffee. She said sure. She had some wedding stuff to go over with me anyway. We met at a cafe near her place. I ordered a coffee I barely touched. Ashley was on her phone, scrolling through Pinterest looking at wedding hairstyles. I said, "Ashley, I need to talk to you about something serious." She looked up, annoyed. "What?" I took a breath. I said, "Yesterday when I was at your place, I saw your laptop. I saw messages between you and someone named Jay." Her face went white, then red, then white again. She stammered, "You went through my computer?" I said it was open. I saw the preview of a message. I looked at the conversation. "Ashley, you're cheating on Marcus." She looked around to make sure no one was listening. Then she hissed at me. "You had no right to look at my private messages." I said, "Forget about that for a second. You're about to marry Marcus in 6 weeks and you're having an affair. He deserves to know." She said, "You don't understand. It's complicated. Jay and I have history. We dated in college. He came back into my life a few months ago, and we reconnected. It just happened." I said, "It didn't just happen. You've been texting him for months. You told him you'd figure it out after the wedding. You're planning to marry Marcus while continuing to see Jay." She started crying. Not real crying, manipulative crying. She said, "Please don't tell Marcus. Please, it'll destroy everything. I'll end it with Jay, I promise. Just don't tell him." I said, "Ashley, if you don't tell him, I will. He deserves to know the truth before he marries you." She wiped her tears and her face changed. She looked at me with pure anger and said, If you tell Marcus, I will never forgive you. I will make sure you're cut out of this family forever. Mom and Dad will take my side. Everyone will think you're just jealous and trying to ruin my happiness. I said, I don't care what people think. This is about Marcus making an informed decision. She stood up and said, I'm warning you. Stay out of my relationship. This is none of your business. She left. I sat there for a long time, trying to figure out what to do. I gave Ashley 1 week. I told her she had 7 days to tell Marcus the truth or I would. During that week, she didn't tell him. Instead, she started a campaign to discredit me. She told our parents that I was being difficult about the wedding, that I was jealous of her happiness, that I was trying to cause problems. She told our other bridesmaids that I was being negative and unsupportive. She was setting the stage to make me look like the villain before I could expose what she was doing. At the end of the week, I called her. I said, did you tell Marcus? She said no, and I'm not going to. And if you do, you'll regret it. I said, Ashley, this is wrong. He deserves to know. She said, fine. Then you're out. You're no longer my maid of honor. You're no longer invited to my wedding. You're done. And don't bother trying to talk to Mom and Dad because they already know you've been causing problems and they're on my side. I said, you're seriously uninviting me from your wedding? She said, yes. You're toxic and I don't want you there. Consider this your official uninvite. She hung up. 10 minutes later, I got a text from her. A long message about how I'd been nothing but drama throughout the wedding planning, how I'd made everything about me, how she'd tried to include me but I'd been horrible. She said her wedding day needed to be perfect, and I was banned from attending. It was 3 days before the wedding. I looked at that text message. I looked at the photos I had of her cheating messages, and I made my decision. I opened a new message to Marcus. I spent 2 hours crafting the perfect message to Marcus. I wanted to be clear, factual, and provide undeniable evidence. I wrote, Marcus, this is incredibly difficult for me to send, but you deserve to know the truth before you get married. Ashley has been having an affair with someone named Jay. I discovered this by accident when I saw messages on her laptop. I confronted her about it and gave her the opportunity to tell you herself, but she refused. Instead, she uninvited me from the wedding to keep me from telling you. I have attached screenshots of the messages as proof. I am so sorry to be the one to tell you this, but I couldn't let you marry her without knowing. You deserve so much better than this. Then I attached all the photos I'd taken. 23 screenshots total. Messages with dates, times, explicit content. Messages where Ashley talked about continuing the affair after the wedding. Messages where Jay asked when she was going to leave Marcus. The evidence was undeniable. I stared at the message for 10 minutes before hitting send. Then I sent it. My hands were shaking. I felt like I might throw up, but I knew I'd done the right thing. About an hour later, my phone started blowing up. First, I got a call from Ashley. I didn't answer. Then a call from my mom. I didn't answer that either. Then a text from my dad. All it said was, "What have you done?" Then a voicemail from Marcus. His voice was shaking. He said, "Thank you for telling me." I had no idea. I can't believe this. Thank you for being honest with me. Then more calls from Ashley. More calls from my mom. Angry voicemails from relatives I barely talked to. I turned my phone on Do Not Disturb and tried to process what had just happened. The wedding was supposed to be on a Saturday. I sent the message on the Wednesday before. On Thursday morning, I got a text from a mutual friend who'd been invited to the wedding. She said, "Oh my God, did you hear? The wedding is canceled." What happened? I didn't respond. Over the next few days, the full story came out through various sources. Marcus had confronted Ashley that same night I sent the message. She'd tried to deny it at first, but he'd shown her the screenshots. She couldn't deny them. She'd admitted to the affair. She'd tried to minimize it, saying it was just texting. It didn't mean anything. She loved Marcus. She'd made a mistake. But Marcus had looked through her phone and found even more evidence. Deleted messages she hadn't cleared completely. Photos. Even evidence that she'd been planning to meet up with Jay during their honeymoon. Marcus called off the wedding Thursday morning. He told his parents, who called the venue and vendors to cancel everything. Huge financial losses, but they didn't care. They were grateful they'd found out in time. The official story that went out to guests was that the wedding was postponed due to personal reasons. But of course, word got out pretty quickly about what had really happened. Ashley moved out of Marcus's apartment that weekend. She went back to live with our parents temporarily, and everyone blamed me. My mom called me and screamed at me for ruining Ashley's life. She said I was jealous, spiteful, and cruel. She said I should have minded my own business. My dad sent me a long email about family loyalty and how I'd betrayed my own sister. Ashley sent me a message calling me every name in the book. She said I destroyed her life over nothing, that what she did wasn't that bad, that I was dead to her. Relatives took sides. Most of them sided with Ashley because in their minds, I'd ruined a wedding and destroyed our family. A few people, mostly friends who knew the full story, told me I'd done the right thing. Marcus sent me a message thanking me again. He said he was devastated but grateful that he found out before the wedding. He said he'd dodged a bullet. That was 3 months ago. Ashley is still living with our parents. She and Jay didn't end up together either. Apparently, once the excitement of the secret affair was gone, they had nothing in common. They broke up about a month after the wedding was canceled. Marcus is doing okay from what I hear. He's in therapy, working through the betrayal. He's dating someone new. My parents are barely speaking to me. We've exchanged a few text messages, but nothing substantial. They made it clear they think I should have handled this differently, that I destroyed Ashley's happiness for no good reason. I've lost most of my extended family. They've either cut me off completely or they're civil but distant. Ashley hasn't spoken to me at all. I've tried to reach out a few times to see if we could talk, but she ignores every message. Part of me is sad about losing my family. But part of me knows I did the right thing. Marcus didn't deserve to start his marriage being lied to and cheated on. He didn't deserve to find out months or years down the line that his wife had been unfaithful before they even got married. Some people have asked me if I regret it. Honestly, no. I regret that it had to happen this way. I regret that my sister made choices that put me in that position. But I don't regret telling Marcus the truth. Would I do it again? Yes, every time. Because some things are more important than keeping family secrets. I've learned something important from all this. Loyalty to family doesn't mean protecting them when they're doing something wrong. Real loyalty means caring enough about them to hold them accountable, even when it's hard. Ashley was going to ruin Marcus's life. She was going to ruin her own life too, by building a marriage on lies and infidelity. I stopped that from happening. She may never forgive me. My parents may never understand. But I can live with that. Because I know that somewhere, Marcus is living his life free from a relationship built on deception. And that's worth all the family drama in the world. My sister called me toxic for telling the truth. But you know what's really toxic? Marrying someone while cheating on them and planning to continue the affair. I'm the one who got cut out of the family. But I'm also the one who can sleep at night knowing I did the right thing. And honestly, that's enough for me.